Thank you, Sharon. Thanks for coming, everyone. I'll be most welcome to this presentation. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what Stephanie afterwards is going to explain much better than me. But I just wanted to explain you that, of course, we are a touristic destination, successfully touristic destination, and our life in the island is very much close to that industry. But we are trying for the last 20 years trying to develop other sectors, other industries into the island. And that's why, like 15 years ago, we developed the Tenerife Film Commission, which you already know. In many places you have film commissions, film offices, trying to help producers and so on, to make them things easier. And we already knew we had lots of sunshine hours every year, more than 3,000, which is a lot. You know, our winter time is quite nice. We knew we had lots of landscapes, dramatic sceneries. I mean, we knew that. We also knew we didn't have so many companies that could give good and professional services to the producers. Anyone, I mean, not only movies, but also commercials, series, photographers, and so on. And we have had, since year 2000, over 1,000 productions, small ones, medium ones. But suddenly, in 2010, I believe, we did a location scout to the island, and someone from Warner Bros. Came to the island in the group, and he saw Monte, you know, the highest peak in mountain in Spain is in the island. We are a tiny island of 2,000 square kilometers in the Atlantic. I think we'll have a map afterwards just to locate us. But we have the highest mountain in Spain there, and as it's a national park, a big one, 50% of our territory is protected. So we have, although we are almost 1 million people in the island, 900,000 people, we have lots of regions inside the island protected. So he went to Monte, and well, he liked it. And from that location scope came Clash of Titans. So we said, hey, we are able to locate, to produce, to host, better said, large international productions. And it worked quite well. And after that came the second one, and after that came Fast and Furious. So we understood the companies giving service to these movies. Of course, they grew up, they become better, they become more professional, and we understood we could make a step forward. And that's why we not only wanted to be more competitive, we wanted to be the most competitive destination within Europe for any kind of productions. And also, we knew that in the tax factor, we could make it better. We don't make laws alone in the Canary Islands. Of course, we are part of Spain. We are a region of Spain. So together with the Spanish government, we got the special tax rebate we are going to explain to you, which is since January. It's operating in the islands. It's not just from Tenerife. We are 7 islands. It's in the whole region. But the island that is succeeding more is Tenerife for many reasons that Stephanie will talk to right away. And then that's why we got recently, it just finished, they were shooting in the island for 26 days, the new Jason Bourne movie. I spent a couple of meetings with Frank Marshall and Paul Greengrass, which was the director of the movie, and they are the ones that told us that we should explain more, higher and farther the benefits of the island. And that's why we are here, because we understood we are now very much competitive. maybe Malta is one of the best places to do things. They have some facilities, they have this water tank, which we are thinking to build right now in the island. But at the end of the day, we recognize that we have developed a lot the island to give good services to the companies. But now we also have this tax opportunity that makes it probably more profitable for the company. So that's why we gather you together today to explain you how it works, and let's see if we can find common opportunities. So thank you for coming, and Stephanie will keep on.
Thank you, Oliver. Now we like to run a very informal event here, so feel free to interrupt at any point, especially when Stephanie's speaking. No pressure, Stephanie. Stephanie is the head of WhyTenerife, so she is brilliantly placed to talk about all the various advantages that are on offer with Tenerife as a location. We will have a Q&A session at the end so that you can ask any questions and harass them as much as possible, if that's what they're here for, and then we'll break for lunch, so hopefully we won't miss our lunch session. But anyway, without further ado, thank you.
The minister summed it up quite well, so I will try and be as brief as possible, but there are a few details that are probably very interesting for you. When we talk about this, occasionally you have to do your 30-second elevator speech, right? And you know that if you don't get the message across very, very quickly, then the opportunity is lost forever. So this is the slide that I use when I only have those 30 seconds, and there are basically three main reasons why you would want to produce any type of film, movie, short film, or commercial. And the three reasons are this: because it's a natural setting, because the fiscal advantages that we have specific to the audiovisual sector are so remarkably high, and your profits will be much larger, which will make all of your investors very happy at the end of the day. And then we also have the infrastructure through a supercomputer and fiber optic cables to make sure that your rendering is going to be fast as possible. And as we all know, time is money. So the faster you can get your footage to where it needs to be, the sooner the movie will be out, and the happier your investors will be as the money comes in from ticket sales. So hopefully having caught your attention with the 30-second elevator speech, the minister mentioned since 2000 we have had a large amount of productions, and every year it gets higher. I think that's the best sign of success, right? If some of the largest production companies in the world have done things successfully on the island and they come back, it's a pretty good indication that they have that perfect mix of all the things they need to be successful, because they've done it once and they come back again. And as you can see, they've used all sorts of different locations within the island, so it gives a larger variety from the opportunities that you have for filming. The climate, this is key. As you all know, outdoor shooting is very tricky, and if you don't have guaranteed successful weather, you can run into delays and you can run into risks, and those obviously end up being very expensive for production companies. So when you're in Tenerife and you know that you're guaranteed sunlight, you know you have stable temperatures, and that it very rarely rains, you can have the certainty and the guarantee that doing any outdoor filming will be successful, and that you won't have those delays due to inclement weather. Plus, actors tend to enjoy being in a lovely paradise island where they can, after their filming, go take a swim. This is very important. Tenerife, as the minister said, is about 2,000 square kilometers, right? We like to say that any type of landscape you need to be anywhere in the world, you can find in Tenerife. Now, to put that into perspective, Tenerife is only slightly bigger than the greater London area. So you can imagine if you're doing a large film production and per se the movie set in several places, instead of having to move all your crew to several different places or be in a very large geographical area, you can film different landscapes where you can be in different locations very quickly. It takes no more than an hour and a half to get from any point on the island. So if you need to be in a colonial city for one scene, and then you need to be in a tropical rainforest for another, instead of having to pack everybody on an airplane or move them across countries, you can do it within an hour. So imagine what that looks for your timing and for your production schedule. Here are some examples. We have avant-garde architecture. So if you need to have a futuristic scene, you can use some of them. Santiago Calatrava who, as you all know, is a very famous architect who has very iconic buildings, has 2 on the island. So you can use them if you need to do a futuristic scene. Any type of desert or lunar or sort of outer space, because of the desert that we, well, it's not a desert, but because of the locations that we have that look like that, you can be in the west, or you can be on the moon, as some of the productions have been. You also have great infrastructure and roads for scenes like in Fast and Furious, when they used a newly constructed road that we hadn't even opened yet, and we gave it to the film so that they could film all of their, turning over cars and Paul Walker jumping from one car to the other. They did that on the new road. Again, colonial. So do you need to be in Cartagena de India? Do you need to be in Cuba? Do you need to be in Africa? You can do it in some of our colonial cities, which are also UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is an advantage. Beaches, tropical rainforest. We have 80% of Europe's biodiversity on the island. So basically anything you need, you can find on the island. And also there are specific flora and fauna that can only be found on the island, which gives back to that sort of futuristic, because people aren't used to seeing those. It looks like something that you can make up from another world, which is very important as well. Excellent hotels. Obviously you're going to be bringing in actors and crew. They need to stay. The good thing about Tenerife is you have the whole gamut of hotels. So if Matt Damon is coming, or if Tom Cruise is coming to the island, you can put him in a suite at the Ritz-Carlton or at a Grand Melia, and he will be very, very happy. And then your crew, obviously, for cost saving, can stay in still wonderful accommodations, but maybe not the presidential suite at the Ritz-Carlton or in a private villa. So, but I can promise you, having stayed in many of these hotels myself, that even the 3- and 4-star hotels are absolutely lovely. And again, it's because when they look out the window and they see the shining sun and they see the palm trees and the sparkling water, they'll be happy no matter where they're staying. But this is very important because you need to have the hotel infrastructure to be able to support these types of productions. Again, we're talking about moving a lot of people and getting them on and off the island quickly. It's really important to note that we're very well connected to the rest of the world. So if you're bringing people in from the United States or from London even, or anywhere, we're connected to over 160. It's actually a little bit higher now because we've just signed a couple new deals. But we're connected with about 170 airports all over the world. So no matter where you need to bring people in, specialists or whatever, it's very easy to get them on and off the island. And also we have a variety of airlines that fly as well. So again, and 2 wonderful airports. So the private jets that are coming in, if you don't want to bring Tom Cruise in on Ryanair, you can have the private jets come into an excellent facility in the airport that will accommodate as well security if need be. I think this goes without saying, but since we've put so much effort over the last years in really developing our industry, we have fabulous crew on the island, so you can get the local support you need without having to bring everybody from overseas, which also helps keep your costs down. I think this is probably what really differentiates us, and it might be the slightly more boring than talking about the wonderful hotels we have and how beautiful our island is, but at the end of the day, this is what's going to make your profit margin be higher, and I think this is what is really important, that message for you to go back to your companies and talk about it. The economic regime in Tenerife, even though we are a part of Spain and obviously a member of the European Union, is different because of our geographical location. So what the national Spanish government and the European Union decided to do is give us some advantages to help diversify our economic base and help attract different industries to the island. And in this case, because of all the things that I've just told you about, they decided to put in some sector specific for the audiovisual and animation industry that would help attract big productions. So I'll run through them quickly, and then in the Q&A, I think the best way to do it is we can run through specific scenarios and you can ask me questions. But just to give you an idea to get you thinking about what you do want to ask us later, it's really important to differentiate the 3 main fiscal advantages that we have on the island. The first one, which is one of the highest, is this one for Spanish productions and co-productions. Now you might ask me, why am I bringing that up if I'm in London and I'm not a Spanish producer? because with this fiscal advantage, which as you can see is up to a 40% tax credit, there is a ceiling on that. It's 5.5 million, but if we all made a profit of 5.5 million before taxes, would be really happy, right? There is a scheme in place to allow co-investment for these Spanish productions. So you can be a foreign producer and have a local company or a local contact on the island help you co-produce. So they have to give up to 20% of the cost of the production, and then you can apply for this. The good thing about this is we've done a lot of work with some of the local consultants, and we've put together a pool of companies that are interested in investing in productions. So we're happy to put you in touch with those if it's something that you're interested in doing in the long term, is starting to get involved with companies on the island that are interested in investing in these types of productions. You might say that that is a little bit too complicated, or you already have the investment funds you need and you just want to do it by yourself. So then you would be able to get the 35% tax rebate. It's slightly lower, but it's still 35%. I mean, we're still talking about a lot of money. And the ceiling on that is 4.5 million, so we're still in very good margins. And this, you don't need a local investor. So this, any foreign production company can come in and they can get up to 35% tax rebate on all the expenditures that they have on the island. So crew, filming, tech, any sort of costs that they have while they're there. We're talking about a significant rebate. This is very interesting. The ZEC is very interesting for production companies that think that they're going to do more than one or two activities on the island over a long span of time. The ZEC is a way you have to establish a company in Tenerife. It can be a subsidiary of the parent company, so you don't have to form a new company. And if you're going to do more than one, what this enables you to do is have a 4% corporate tax rate. So if you're going to do multiple filmings on the island and you think you're going to have more of a long-term relationship, which we all hope you do, you can set up a subsidiary in Tenerife. You can still operate with the tax rebates. And if you are a company in Tenerife, you're looking at the 38 to 40% again tax credit, and only have a 4% corporate tax rate. So, and again, because of the treaties signed with the UK, we're talking about also not having any withholding taxes. So you can imagine what that means at the end of the day for your ledger. This is another good one, the Canary Islands Investment Reserve. This helps you reinvest 90% of your profits tax-free. So again, if you're thinking about doing multiple productions and you need to invest maybe in supplies or an office, you can take some of your benefits, invest them on the island tax-free, which means you're going to end up saving a lot of money as you build up your capacity. And then, like I said, this is sort of our crown jewel. So we have the location, we have the wonderful hotels, and we have the tax incentives, but nowadays, your data connections are really important. You're filming, you're probably sending that raw footage somewhere else, and you need to do it quickly and safely. So what we've done is built a neutral access point, a Tier 3 plus data center. Now, for those of you that know what that means, that is the top level. It also means that you can rent space on your own and use it. You can filter through one of the current operators. There are 3 well-known international companies that are operating in the data center right now. But if you have that capability yourself, and a lot of the large production companies do, what you can do is rent space so you don't need to go through a third-party operator. And that allows you to have more control and obviously save costs as well because you're not paying the third party. The high-speed submarine cables. I like to use this example. Depending on the speed of the cables where you are, your footage gets to where it needs to be faster or slower. And as all of you know, you pay for the time that you use the cables. So if you can get your footage from Tenerife to London in less than 2 minutes, you are going to spend a lot less money. You're going to get it there faster, and that means your movie is going to come out sooner. So the advantages multiply. For those of you that need to do some rendering or may be interested in animation films, it is very important to have a supercomputer. Supercomputers in this day and age are plentiful, but you very rarely find them on an island with all the other advantages that are within the top 500 supercomputers in the world, 138th to be specific. It's also the second best supercomputer in Spain. The difference between this and a lot of the other ones is that when we built it and designed it, we wanted it to be for the private sector. A lot of supercomputers nowadays are used for universities, or they're used for R&D research facilities, and you can't get time on them. This one is not. This one is focused specifically to help the audiovisual industry and the private sector. And it was built that way on purpose, and it makes us very, very competitive because of the reason that it's there. Again, as most of you know, when you're competing against Harvard University to get time on a supercomputer, you're probably going to have to wait in line. Not here. You all know more about rendering services than I do, but we can look at the comparison. So at 20 nodes, you're talking about 4.5 years. In Spain, you're talking about 30 days. If anybody filmed something and had to wait 4.5 years to get it out on the market, nobody would go and see it because our interests change so rapidly nowadays in this culture. So the fact that we have such a high-speed infrastructure will really help. Again, animation is something that we've also started to look into. There are sector-specific tax rebates for animation as well, which are even higher. They're 40 to 45%. And that, when combined with the use of the supercomputer, make animation an excellent choice to be done in Tenerife. I think it's probably a good time to open this up to questions, because I've given you a lot of information in a short amount of time. But these things it's good to hit the bullet points and then let people ask as they have more questions.
Thank you, Stephanie. That's great. That's a great overview. I think I would only add one thing, which she can't say, but I can. They're really great people to work with. I run a company out there. They bend over backwards to help you out. Recently, Born 5 was filmed out there. I was working out there, so it didn't help me, thank you. But they had a great time. They took over the city. They transferred it into downtown Athens with riots going off. It took me forever to get to my bloody meeting, but never mind. For you guys, that's great, because they really want to help you, and they want to make it easy for you, and they want to open up the island for you. The locals actually love movies as well. So if you're shooting something that needs lots of extras, God, my kids queued up in the sun for 8 hours to try to get into that damn movie, as did lots of other people. And there's lots of people on the island who will help you to get all of that in place if that's what you're looking for. So, without further ado, is there any questions from the floor, either for Alberto? Do you want to come in so that we can see you? Just sit up here. Yes.
Hi.
Maybe if you just say your name and where you're from. So
yeah, Ali Moshrev, and I work at Film Finance, it's a competition bond company based here. I know Spain quite well, I've worked there for a bit, and the question, I'm not sure if this is for you or not, but I'll give it a go. When you take, most films that go in will take will set up a foreign company or a British company or American company and hire the foreign talent through that company. Is there when you're hiring Matt Damon or Tom Cruise or whoever, is there a withholding tax consideration for the time that they are in the Canary Islands? I'll just say that through the experience of working in Spain, I kind of know what practically we did, which was nothing, that there was no withholding tax, but it was never clear whether that was actually the correct thing to do or not. It felt like it was a big grey area. And you tried to find out whether it was the right thing. There were mixed responses.
The technical answer to that question is it depends on the treaty that has been signed between Spain and that country. The good thing about Spain is they have double taxation treaties signed with over 88 countries. So if you're bringing in Matt Damon from the US that does have a double taxation treaty with Spain, yes, there's no withholding. So it depends on the treaty. I have a list and I'm happy to run through. If they come from Angola that does not have a double taxation treaty, then it would depend on the situation and how the company is set up on the island.
Okay, because they'll be employed by, in the Matt Damon case, it would be either a UK company or a US company.
Right. As long as they have a double taxation treaty with Spain, then you're fine. and there's no.
They both have the agreement.
And both have, yes.
Thank you. Anybody else? Can't you have to work for your lunch here?
How easy is it to get permits to film? You've mentioned that the government will sort of be supportive, but it can be quite difficult to identify exactly the right authority to apply to, and the application process can take time. And we have heard stories that that permits can be difficult to obtain in some jurisdictions.
Well, that's our job. We are the island government, but also we have the municipalities and many other institutions. For example, in the national park, there is a national park office. They have their own regulation. It's not easy. We have had some films that couldn't, they didn't become possible because of the regulations. I mean, you cannot do anything you want, especially in the national park. But we make things easy for producers. For example, in the Jason Bourne movie, they shot for 26 days in the capital. We have never had a filming of that size in the center of the capital. I mean, it's a 200,000 people city. It was very difficult, and we got all permits. Locals were happy with the shooting, with some difficulties, of course. But everybody understood that we needed to do that. So we changed the tranvía,
Cable car.
the cable car. We changed the buses. We closed many roads, main roads, and things were smooth. So I think we are learning, and things, and of course the politicians and the institution are quite aligned with the purpose of helping productions, because we believe it's good for us.
And the Film Commission's job is to help you get those permits. So they know the licenses and the permits that you need, and they know what doors need to be open to get them, and who to contact. So that's our job, is to make sure that you do get the permits that are necessary.
Anybody else? Yes.
Hi, Kevin Trey from Warner Brothers. Sorry about the extras thing.
Oh, it's you, isn't it? Don't let him out the room.
It is me. I just wondered, I understand that this actually, the whole scheme's still waiting EU ratification. I just wondered whether you had a timetable on that.
No, on the contrary, it was ratified at the beginning of the year.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
It was.
Okay.
I know there were a lot of people waiting on that, but luckily in January it was. So.
Hi, is there a realistic way of, if you have a huge budget and of combining both the Spanish co-production tax, the rebate plus
The credit.
the credit, yeah?
Yes, it becomes a little bit more complicated, but yes. You basically sort of have to do sort of two simultaneous productions, fiscally.
The operative word being fiscally.
Yes.
Right, and then you'd be able to take advantage of both caps, I guess. I'm sure it's complicated, it would cost a lot to do, but
Okay, so they can operate in the same space, in that, say if you're filming in Santa Cruz, you can have both of them operating in Santa Cruz at the same time. But because of the structure, you would need to divide it out fiscally into two separate companies. So you could have the foreign production do, I don't know, the first part of the movie.
right.
And then if you were able to get that co-production, then they could do a certain part as well.
Thank you.
So basically what you're saying is you can't double dip. You can have either or, and you figure out the schedule to work that way.
Yes.
One of the problems with jurisdictions, specifically American states, I understand it's a little bit different, is there's a great splash of, hey, we've got a fantastic tax break, and you're really going to like it. The Treasury decides more or less how much money they're going to sacrifice in terms of tax revenue to accommodate this offer. And then the first show that goes in there takes everything. And what if you're the second show or the third show? Guess what? That pot has run out. Any comments to make on that?
Well, in this last movie, as it was for the first time not in Monteide or in a closed road,
Yeah.
but in the middle of the city, you can imagine the huge public efforts we had to make with police, local police, with traffic, with the buses. I mean, the impact in the city was high.
Yeah.
And when you close a road, when you close a public square, you're supposed to pay for using that square. There's a tax you have to pay if you want to close a public space. You have to pay because you occupy that space. So all the institutions, we got again aligned, and we did a special rebate in order to make it easier for the company. So we only charged the company if the buses couldn't make it in a certain stop, they are going to lose a certain money. So they pay for that. They paid for, I think it was like 300 shops that had to close because they converted the city into Athens. So all the signals were changed into Greek. And they paid, as they had to close after 5:30 in the afternoon, they paid to everyone in order to close shops, and I mean all the filming was correct. But it was quite smooth.
I think he's asking for a commitment from you as a politician here today. Is this something
Okay.
you're offering today, and then
okay.
we'll run out if you're too successful?
So
Sorry.
for a specific fiscal period, let's say the Treasury says, you know what we're going to do?
Okay.
We're going to contribute, we're going to think about 10 million euros within that time. And guess what? 2 or 3 really big projects come in, and you run
And
over
then you
your
change the
and
rules.
then there's an embarrassing moment for
Exactly.
production company
Yeah.
and from local government.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
No,
But
that's okay.
we have a special, as we are a faraway region,
Yeah.
we have a special tax regime in the region. It's called Special Economic Regime, REF. So this is in our constitution, in the Spanish constitution.
Yeah.
So the strength that we have is when we have this kind of tax rebates. It cannot be for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years. The scheme we have is 20 years.
Okay.
In fact, the SEC she told about, it ends in 2036.
Okay.
So you have plenty of time not to be under a risky decision.
Okay.
So you can be sure of that, at least for the next 20 years. Afterwards, I don't know.
I don't think anyone's going to be in 20 years. Yes.
Hi, Matthew Goldstein. I'm currently with Kaboom Consulting, but I formerly worked as an agent for Fox and for Viacom. And for Viacom, for MTV, what we did is under a program we launched EMA and BMA style events on a lot of these places that were looking to increase tourism and attract positive public relations points as well. In more remote places. We actually did Malta as well. But a lot of the problems we ran into had to do with a lot of equipment in terms of staging equipment, audiovisual equipment. Are there companies on the island that provide these sorts of things, and are there favorable import-export laws around this?
Yes. The short answer is yes. There are companies that have basically everything you need unless it's very, very specialized equipment. And then also the good thing about Tenerife is there are import and export laws to help facilitate this. So if you need to bring in specialized cars, for example, you can bring them in and not pay an import or export duty on them because it's what's called a temporary import. So that will really help facilitate the process. So if you need to bring in specialized equipment, or you need something that cannot be found on the island, you can do it under this temporary import clause and not pay duties on it. And the port, it's not mentioned in this presentation, but it should be said.
Yeah, like offloading facilities.
Exactly. The port is one of the largest ports in Spain. It is connected to over 297 ports all around the world. So it's very easy to get in whatever material you have to ship into the port. It also is only one of 2 scanners in Spain. So if any of you have had to deal with getting goods into a port, you know that having a scanner for a container means that instead of waiting around 3 days to get your shipment, the scanner puts it, scans it, and you get it that very same day. So that is one of the largest advantages of our port, is the fact that we have a scanner. Barcelona is the only other Spanish port with a scanner.
Anybody else? No? Thank you very much. I think we'll take a break for some lunch. Obviously they're here over lunch, so feel free to nobble them and ask them any further questions that you might have. But in the meantime, thank you very much.
Thank you.